Welcome back. The panel is with us from remote locations. NBC News Chief Foreign Affairs Correspondent Andrea Mitchell, former Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson, and O.K. Henderson, News Director of Radio Iowa. And Kay, I'm going to start with you because, believe it or not, of the four of us, and I include myself, I believe you are the only one residing in a place without many restrictions versus we're still living a lockdown life in D.C. and New York while the rest of the country opens up. Iowa's open. Does it look open, Kay?
It depends where you go. There are still restrictions on restaurants, which were able to open in phases. First phase was in the 77 Iowa counties where virus activity was deemed not substantial at the beginning of the month, and then in the middle of the month, hair cutting businesses opened. And at the end of this month, last Friday, the governor said that if you run a museum, a movie theater, you can open those facilities up. The one thing that is still not open in Iowa, bars, she said she'll make that decision next week. The other significant thing that's happened this week in Iowa is that on Thursday, Governor Kim Reynolds said that if you want a test, you can get a test. Previously to that, the standards for being tested for COVID-19, the diagnostic test, where you either had to have symptoms, you had to have someone in your household who was diagnosed with COVID, or you were an essential worker. It's unclear how soon everybody who wants a test can get a test because the state is still trying to ramp up to 5,000 tests a day. And as some of your viewers may know, Iowa is one of 3 states that signed a $26 million deal with a group of businesses in Utah to provide 500,000 test kits.
Andrea Mitchell, one of the things that I think is already a theme from just this show this morning is how very gently, whether it's Republican Governor Mike DeWine, the National Security Advisor, they want to make the point that let's not politicize the mask debate.
But the president has politicized the mask debate. The president is the one who is fighting his own medical guidelines from the CDC and others, sidelining the medical advisors. We haven't seen very much of them, with the one exception of Dr. Birx the other night, briefly, and she was in a very ambiguous situation at that last briefing. So the president is fighting his own government and his rebellion tweets. I mean, he's the one who has made this red state, blue state, and it is really horrifying in a pandemic to be making it a political issue. It should be a medical issue, a health issue, not a political issue.
Yeah. And Jay Johnson, I mean, when the governor of North Dakota was in tears over this, I sort of got it. It was very moving because you're like, my gosh, we're politicizing everything right now.
Chuck, you're correct. It's disheartening to watch the president, whether it's the issue of the mask or things he says in his daily briefings, is sending the message explicitly or implicitly that he doesn't believe his scientists. He doesn't always believe Dr. Fauci, and that we need to get back to business. We need to reopen our economy. The president's the most visible person in America. He sets the example. He sets the standards. And a lot of people, particularly in his base, look to him for guidance on this. And so he has the power to influence the debate.
You know, Kay, I'm curious in Iowa because if you watch this debate on social media and you watch this debate on cable news, it looks like the country's divided 50-50 on this. The polling indicates there's not that divide. And frankly, the results of people moving around the country shows that there's a lot more caution out there than maybe we're portraying politically. Is that what you see in Iowa?
Well, one of the interesting things is at the beginning of this month, the governor encouraged churches to resume worship. And you're just now seeing the state's Catholic bishops tell their parishioners that we're going to sort of phase this in and this is how it's going to look and we're going to practice social distancing. The vice president visited Iowa in the middle of the month to talk with a group of faith leaders about how to safely resume worship in person. The other thing that has happened here in Iowa is that the executive branch has a Republican in control in Kim Reynolds, and the legislative branch in Iowa is also controlled by Republicans. So there hasn't been that sort of conflict that you see in some other states. The other thing is that we had a group of conservative lawmakers in late April who said it's time to reopen the state, and they made an argument that churches should be able to resume worshiping in person. So those debates really haven't raged here among Republicans.
Jay Johnson, I know you wanted to chime in.
Yeah, Chuck, as you probably know, the governor of New Jersey has asked me to think about this issue for our state here and for the region. Clearly, there's no one-size-fits-all solution to when to reopen, and we have to reopen in stages. So it's not a surprise that a majority, almost all the states, are now beginning the process of reopening. But you got to do it carefully. You got to do it in phases, and testing and contact tracing are critical to this effort.
Hey, Andrea Mitchell, very quickly on the issue of Hong Kong, and I'm curious if you heard what I heard from Ambassador O'Brien, in that, look, if they go through this, we're going to probably organize, we're going to sanction them, we're going to do some things, but there's some things we won't do. And is China going to get the message that they're probably going to get away with this?
Probably, because they see this as a national security issue. But that signal to investors that investors should leave if they go through with these new laws, that's a really a very important signal. I was there for the handover, and I was there, in '97 and watched all of that as we covered it. And this, to watch Martin Lee, their lead democracy advocate, being arrested earlier this month, this is really serious. I don't think that she is going to back down.
Yeah, it looks like if Hong Kong may never, ever be the same from what it once was. Anyway, I'm going to pause the conversation here. Hello from Washington, I'm Chuck Todd, and thanks for checking out the Meet the Press channel on YouTube. Click on the button down here to subscribe, and click over here to watch the latest interviews, highlights, and other digital exclusives.